Ruben Amorim flips and tells the players to shape up or F off. Man United have convinced Patrick Dorgu to join them and are looking to bring in a forward. Manchester United are lowering the asking price for Garnacho. In return, Napoli could lower their demands for Victor Osimhen. Rashford's camp hold talks with Barcelona as he returns to first team training. All this plus more in today's video as we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video and let's jump straight into it. So I'm going to start with the Ruben Amorim story. So, firstly, it came from United Menace, where he said the following. Now, United Menace are quite good when it comes to, injury news and stuff going on behind the scenes. I think they've got an inside source at United. Said that Ruben Amorim unleashed a rage in the dressing room after the Brighton defeat. Tables were flipped over, chairs kicked, and every player was made aware that they either shape up or fuck off. His temper was so bad, tears were shed, and players were silent. So Ruben Amorim has absolutely lost it with the players after the Brighton game. And to be fair, I don't really blame him. Absolutely insane. That's like, Alex Ferguson type stuff, isn't it? I mean, the famous hairdryer. So Ruben Amorim channeling his inner Ferguson hairdryer and absolutely losing it with the players. Now, Laurie Whitwell has kind of collaborated this story as well, confirmed this story as well, saying that Ruben Amorim caused damage to the big screen television in Manchester United's dressing room during a furious critique of his players' performance in the 3-1 defeat to Brighton. Ruben Amorim's reaction after Brighton was striking to those on the receiving end who have experienced angry managers before, but even more pronounced on this occasion because Amorim usually does not say a word in the immediate aftermath after matches. And Laurie also went on to say that Ruben Amorim spoke to Sir Jim for around 20 minutes after Manchester United beat Southampton, and the club executives are supporting the head coach in making moves in the market to suit his system. Now, I wanted to bring that point in because, Laurie Whitwell was very credible. He's one of the most credible journalists when it comes to United, kind of saying that Amorim has the full support of Sir Jim and Ineos, which is really kind of telling. But yeah, let me know what you think about that in the comments. I absolutely back Amorim on that. I'm a fan. I've been furious with the players as well, and you can imagine what you would say after the defeat and after some of the performances that we've seen from this team this season. Do you know what I mean? Like, it comes to a point where you've got to kind of, you've got to say it how it is. Do you know what I mean? And I love the fact that he said, look, either, shape up or fuck off. And I absolutely love that from Amorim. I think it shows he cares, clearly, because you don't get that angry about things if you're not really that particularly bothered. It shows that the players are clearly not following his instructions as well, or doing what he's asking them to do or what they're training to do. Because again, you don't lose the plot like that if you're partly to blame. If you're saying to the players, do this, and they're doing it, and then it doesn't work, you can't go in and start smashing TVs and kicking tables and that over. So it clearly shows that the players are just not doing what they should be doing. And then also, I think from this, it will show Amorim who he can trust, because this will go one of two ways. Either he'll gain respect from the players and he'll fire them up because, people will react to that differently. It might kind of, in some players, think, hold on, yeah, you're right. Do you know what I mean? And kind of back Amorim, and others will be like, hold on, that was nothing to do with me. And they'll kind of shrink a little bit. And at the end of the day, I absolutely love it. Any players that are sulking off of the back of that, then they should fuck off and find a new club, in my opinion, because, we're at Manchester United. It's not a holiday camp. You're here to win games and you're here to perform on the pitch and at least kind of play football, not just kind of hide and cower amongst yourselves. Do you know what I mean? So any player that doesn't now back Amorim or kind of get fired up off of the back of that, I agree with Amorim. They should fuck off. And it's as simple as that, because there was an attitude problem with the team anyway, because clearly we can perform against some teams and not against others. So there's clearly something, and I just think Amorim's ended up losing the plot. And I don't blame him, and I absolutely kind of support the kind of, the fact that he's gone a little bit over the top, smashing TVs and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But it's about time that we had a manager that absolutely tore into these players, because it is unacceptable, the performances we've been seeing, not just this season, but last season as well. Absolutely terrible. So I absolutely back Amorim on that. And as I mentioned, the players will either get fired up, and the ones that react bad and sulk, they're the ones that you obviously need to remove from the club because they're part of the problem. But I'd love your thoughts on that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now let's move on to some transfer news. So loads happening over the last 24 hours. There's loads going on with United at the moment in terms of transfer news. It's actually kind of quite frantic. Loads of different reports, loads of different kind of stories. So we're going to go through Garnacho first. So Napoli will hold contacts for Alejandro Garnacho in the next few hours. The Italian side are willing to pay more than 50 million euros, including bonuses. Alejandro Garnacho, then we had kind of reports around Chelsea potentially being interested in Garnacho. So United Menace, again, who we just kind of mentioned in there, said that Garnacho would favour a move to Chelsea. Garnacho's agents were also at the Chelsea-Wolves game the other day as well, which is a little bit concerning. And then we've had another report saying that Chelsea will try to sign Alejandro Garnacho this month. They already know the price is £59 million. And then Sam C, who's a good source, said that some of the Chelsea staff members really like the idea of Alejandro Garnacho joining this January. However, it remains to be seen whether Chelsea will pay what Manchester United want for the 20-year-old. So kind of loads of reports there suggesting about Chelsea potentially making a move for Garnacho, which that would annoy me, to be truthful. But then we've had more stories coming out from Italy. Now, the Italian media normally say take with a pinch of salt, but they've actually been really accurate over the last few weeks regarding the Garnacho and the Dorgu story, which we're going to move on to in a second. But firstly, Alejandro Garnacho has told Manchester United he only wants to join Napoli if he was to leave this month. United have now lowered their demands for Alejandro Garnacho in talks with Napoli. United have said to have come down in their initial asking price after holding talks today, but are now open to doing business at around £55 million. Now, that came from Sky Sports, suggesting that United have now lowered their asking price. And then Dimarzio said that Manchester United have lowered their price for Alejandro Garnacho from 75 million euros to around 65 million euros. Napoli are so far stuck at around 50 to 55 million euros, but the distance between the parties has thinned. The feeling is the transfer can be closed if Napoli reach 60 million euros. These are hot hours. And it was kind of, that's the negotiation game, isn't it? You kind of go in and say, right, we want 75 or 80 or whatever it is, and the team are like, yeah, we're offering 50, and then you negotiate up or down into that kind of middle ground, and it's always kind of reported that around 60 million euros is what the asking price is, or 60 million pounds, 55 million euros, well, 60 million euros, maybe with some add-ons and stuff as well, is around the kind of sweet spot that United would entertain selling Garnacho for. And then we've had Alfredo Padula saying that new contacts are taking place between Napoli and Manchester United this evening to try to close the deal for Alejandro Garnacho. Now, that came out last night. So apparently, according to Alfredo Padula, United were in negotiations last night with Napoli. Now, this was really interesting because obviously I've seen a few reports regarding, lowering the asking price. Now, one of the reasons could be Napoli have informed Manchester United they can offer them a discount on Victor Osimhen's £63 million price if United cooperate with the Garnacho deal. So if you read between the lines, maybe that's kind of accurate. Is that one of the... I mean, I think we would lower the price anyway because that's just negotiations. That's how transfers kind of work. You never get exactly the price that you want. There's always some wiggle room and some negotiations around the kind of fee and stuff, right? But what if that's to be believed? I mean, Napoli have informed United they will offer a discount for Osimhen if we give them a discount on Garnacho. So what if that was to be... potentially an option? I highly doubt it, and I don't think we would get Osimhen in January because it's a bit late, I think, in the transfer window to do that sort of deal. But maybe in the summer, if we give them like a mate's rates or like reduce the price for Garnacho, which is still fair value for us, and then in the summer they give us a bit of a discount on Victor Osimhen, that's, plausible, I would say, but I think it's more negotiation tactics personally. But let me know what you think. So just to kind of summarize, because again, there's loads of noise going on regarding Garnacho. At the moment, in negotiations with Napoli, he's had a conversation with Antonio Conte on the phone. That was confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. Napoli are seen as the kind of favourites. Apparently, he wants to go there as well, which is important. Chelsea are in the race. It can't be ruled out that Chelsea would make a late bid. There's been talk of swaps and stuff, although that's gone really, really quiet. That was Romano saying that was more noise at the start of the transfer window, but there's nothing kind of, don't expect that to kind of happen, but Chelsea could come in for an offer. But by all accounts, it's seen that Napoli are now the kind of favourites. They're in negotiations. Matt Judge, who is our kind of chief negotiator, is in Italy at the moment because he's been having talks with Dorgu. We'll go into the Dorgu news in a second. So he's clearly going to be having negotiations with Napoli at the same time as well. I've got a feeling this is just the classic negotiation talk that's going to happen. If this was reversed, if we were signing Garnacho from Napoli and Man United had held talks with the player wants to come, we've agreed personal terms with the player, and now we're just negotiating the price, I would be fairly confident that that deal would be going through. So it can't be a hypocrite if you reverse it the other way round. Obviously, we're looking to sell Garnacho. The same would be said for Napoli. So I've got a funny feeling this is going to go through. And that we're going to sell Garnacho to Napoli. Let me know in your kind of your opinion on that as well. Personally, I don't like the idea of selling Garnacho this early. I think he's got so much potential. He's one of the best young players in the world, and we're looking to sell him for a relatively cheap price. I just hope it includes some add-ons and some sell-on clauses and bonuses to kind of push that price up, because I think Napoli would be getting a bit of a deal. But then on the flip side, does he fit the system? We know he's been dropped from match day squads, and there's maybe something going on behind the scenes in terms of Garnacho, although I don't think Amorim would put him back in the team so quickly if he had like attitude problems or anything. But there was clearly an issue that he was taken out of the match day squad against Manchester City for. If he wants to go himself, do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, maybe we're just not an attractive club anymore, because maybe he's like, well, hold on, I want to play Champions League football. I've got no chance of doing that at United next season unless we win the Europa League. But that's a big if, to pin your hopes on that, and who would fancy us at the moment to win any games, let alone the Europa League, because we're absolutely terrible. But so maybe there's that as well. But we'll need to keep an eye on it for you. All right, looks like Napoli are kind of pulling ahead with the deal. I'll bring you any updates. Love your thoughts on the Garnacho situation in the comments. Now, one of the other players we're looking to remove in January potentially is Marcus Rashford. We'll quickly go through the Rashford latest. So talks are continuing over a potential solution for Marcus Rashford, but there is no resolution. This could go to the end of deadline day. Marcus Rashford's preference is a move to Barcelona if he leaves Manchester United. Now, David Ornstein said that, so could all go down to the wire. Rashford wants to go to Barcelona, but there's no resolution as it stands at the moment. David Ornstein did also say that he's back in training now with the squad. Whether he's going to be in the match day squad or anything still going forward, you don't know. But obviously over the last few weeks, he's been training by himself. But David Ornstein did say that Marcus Rashford is back in training, so him staying cannot be ruled out. And I know some of you in the comments have been saying, because of his wage and stuff like that as well, how are you realistically going to get a buyer for Marcus Rashford or a loan deal that suits United in January because of his wages? And I totally agree with that. But then Mateo, who's been really credible recently, said in the next 2 days there will be contact between Marcus Rashford and Barcelona to understand the feasibility of a loan. Barcelona are one of the few clubs that can satisfy the demands of both Rashford and Barcelona. And then Romano has confirmed that Marcus Rashford's camp had a meeting with Barcelona director Deco today. That was yesterday. Barcelona are keen on signing him. He is open to the move, but it depends on potential exits like Eric Garcia and Ansu Fati. So Romano kind of said, so with the Rashford situation, I think Dortmund are still there. Romano has not ruled out Dortmund, although Rashford himself, I've been saying for a while, wants to go to Barcelona, and will probably wait for Barcelona to sell some players or sell some kidneys or do something to generate the funds to potentially go in for the loan deal for Barcelona. And then hopefully, if Barcelona do that, maybe they could include some kind of obligation to buy or something like that in the summer, where they could pull some more levers and get some money in to kind of buy him permanently. But that is one that could go down to the wire. And it is what it is. Otherwise, what do you do with the situation now with Marcus Rashford? Because he's clearly said he wants to go. He's clearly not in favour. If he does not get an exit, going to have to be back in the squad, isn't he? But then would Amorim pick him? And because, you're then in a position where if you don't pick him, his value is going to drop massively. You can't in the summer. So you're probably forced then to play him, or at least have him on the bench and stuff, do you know what I mean? Which would just be an absolute nightmare. So hopefully there's some kind of resolution, because that would just be not good for anyone. It wouldn't be fun for us. It wouldn't be fun for Rashford, and Amorim answering all the questions about him as well. But yeah, let me know what you think about Rashford in the comments. Now let's move on to some incoming news. So Player we're heavily linked with is Patrick Dorgu. So what's the latest there? So David Ornstein said discussions are advancing for Patrick Dorgu's move to Manchester United. The club may go over to Italy to try to speed up the process, and we are in Italy having negotiations. There's been images of Matt Judge coming out of hotels in Italy and all sorts. So this is definitely a player of interest. Manchester United's offer for Patrick Dorgu currently does not exceed 30 million euros plus 5 million bonuses. Lecce for now have not accepted the offer and are waiting for a higher bid. So according to Damasio, we've made our first bid for Patrick Dorgu, which has been rejected by Lecce, which is standard negotiations and transfer kind of dealings. And then they're waiting for a higher bid to come back in. Romano's also confirmed it as well. Lecce want a £34 million package for Patrick Dorgu, and Manchester United start from £25 million. So there's like a 10 million gap in terms of the difference in price between similar to the Garnacho, isn't it? Where you know, we've dropped our price for him. You know, we Lecce are looking for an increased price from ourselves, and it's just classic negotiations, isn't it? The Lecce president himself actually confirmed the meeting as well, where he said that the meeting went well. It was a cordial meeting. For us, it is a satisfaction to sit at the table with Manchester United and talk about a player who comes from our spring. It means that it is a remarkable growth path for the club, and that we are very happy about. We explained to Manchester United our will at the moment is to try to keep our staff unchanged, retaining all the big ones, especially Dorgu. So again, that is classic negotiation tactics, isn't it? Where the CEO or the president comes out and says, yeah, we want to keep our player, because you don't come out and say, yeah, we'll sell him for 30 million, because then United will be like, okay, well, we'll offer you 28 and some add-ons, and it weakens your position. So you're always going to come out and say you don't want to sell him. Corriere dello Sport, who've been really good recently, have said that Manchester United have convinced Patrick Dorgu to join them with a very important proposal. Talks yesterday between Manchester United and Lecce for Patrick Dorgu focused on bonuses and details around a total figure of £30 million. So the kind of, it's just working out the price and the fee and the bonuses and the kind of add-ons and all of that stuff regarding Dorgu. You know, if they want 34 million, we've offered 20. It's going to be like, you know, around 30 million pound with some add-ons, isn't it? That's the kind of, I always think, well, just put it in the middle of what the two clubs want, do the average and put it in the middle, and it'll be a deal done around that. So I suspect around 30 million pounds with some add-ons might be possible for us to get over the line for Patrick Dorgu. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, it's also been widely reported that United are not going to stop there. So Manchester United have drawn up a list of striker targets after lining up a move for Dorgu in the hope of filling their two priority positions this window. Brian Mbeumo, Kuna, Liam Delap and Jonathan David are all being tracked by club scouts. Now, that came from Chris Wheeler. Again, we've had people like Laurie Whitwell and David Ornstein and so on, and Romano, credible sources saying that United are also looking for a forward, which would make perfect sense, because if you know, Anthony's going on loan to Real Betis, and then if you're selling Garnacho, and then if you're selling Rashford or loaning Rashford, we'll wait and see what happens on the Rashford deal. It's a little more complicated because of his wages, but we're going to need a forward or another striker coming in. And I actually like the names on the list. You know, Brian Mbeumo, I think, would be a good signing for us. Liam Delap, I like as well. I think he's got the profile to fit well within the system. He's an absolute handful of a player, young. Jonathan David, I actually rate Jonathan David. It's an unpopular opinion that I don't know why. The guy has scored like 20-odd goals for the last 3 or 4 seasons. I know it's League One, right? But Kylian Mbappe made a career off of playing in League One. So you can't kind of say, well, Mbappe's the best player in the world while he's playing for PSG, and then criticize other players playing in the French league. If you can score goals, you can score goals, in my opinion. If you know where the back of the net is, like, we've signed 2 strikers, neither of which have fantastic goal scoring records. And guess what? They're not scoring goals. So why don't we go and get a goal scorer that's proven to be able to score 20-odd goals in the last 3 or 4 seasons, whether it's in France or Italy, I don't care. If you know where the back of the net is, you know where the back of the net is. And Kuna would be a fantastic signing as well. Now, on that, there is talk that he might be leaving Wolves. So Kuna's situation is now the end of January. From now to the end of January remains one to watch. Fabrizio Romano has been saying that apparently he's been offered a new contract from Wolves, which he has not signed as of now. And that potentially could be that that could mean that he might possibly be leaving Wolves. Romano's also said, I've not done slide for it, that there are 4 Premier League teams interested in Matheus Cunha. Those 4 teams are rumoured to be United, Arsenal, who are seen as favourites, Forest and Tottenham, apparently are all in for Matheus Cunha. So that would be... that would be one to watch. If you sell Garnacho, you can then get the funds. I mean, Cunha would be a fantastic player to bring in to play in that kind of left 10 position, because that's where he plays currently for Wolves. So I think he would be a really good addition. But going back to the kind of list before, I'd be happy with all 4, any of those 4, to be truthful, because I think all of them would kind of improve us. And Mbeumo's a good player. Liam Delap, I think, is a good striker. And Jonathan David, I think, knows where the back of the net is as well. So, but let me know what you think about those stories in the comments. And then quickly run through the rest of the news. So Luke Shaw is expected to return to Manchester United's first team training at the end of this week, pending a positive outcome on an assessment on Wednesday. So Luke Shaw could be back. For how long, who knows? Because the problem always with Luke Shaw is he comes back and then makes 3 substitute appearances since his last injury, and then he's been out again since. So, for anyone interested, Luke Shaw is potentially back from injury. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.